What's going on, folks? Kayak Bass Nation coming at you live. I am doing this from a cell phone tonight, so we have no fancy graphics, no overlays, no intro music, just Jay Wallen and Jordan Marshall straight off of Chickamauga in September, which is always a great time. And we're going to
bells and whistles needed.
Get into how this went. We'll go ahead and thank our sponsors. We couldn't do this stuff without Eco Fishing helping us out. Our giveaway sponsors, Pro Guide, we got Gill Fishing, Revo, Seagar. All right, everybody's on board. We're going to get into how this tournament shook out. And both of you guys were, in the top 5 after day one? Yeah?
I think so.
Yeah, I was 8th, and Jay was up there ahead of me. Yeah,
I think I was 5th. I think day one. Yeah, something like that.
I thought I saw Jay Bird in the top 5. How did the weekend start off, Jay? I know you had one fantastic day of pre-fishing, which is always a curse, I feel like.
I'm surprised I did as well as I did, given my practice day glory that I had. You guys know. I fished chick, for a handful of years. I've got some honey holes here and there, just places I've always done well at. And I said to myself, I'm going to go check this one. I'll catch maybe 2. If I catch 2, I'm getting out. And then I had another spot that I kind of felt the same way. I went to the first area, and I got out stupid early. Like, I was in the moonlight. I went night fishing, basically. I didn't really pay attention to what time the sun came up, and I got out there at like 5:30, which of course safe light's like 7. So
you would have been right on par for a Bassmaster event, though. That would have been.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I get to my spot right off the bat. I catch a 20-incher, good solid 4-pounder. Just a big healthy 20-incher. And I was like, okay, all right. I was like, if I catch one more, I'm out of here. And it wasn't 5 minutes later. I caught a 23-incher, like 8-pounder. I took a picture of it. I've got it. I sent it to you guys in a group chat. It's horrible picture because it's in the moonlight, but you can tell. It was a stud. And I was like, well, I should probably just go on and get out of here. So I did. I was like, I'm out of here. All is good in here. I'm out. And I go to my other spot and get up there, and 21-incher right off the bat. I was like, oh, my God. I was like, I guess I'll try to catch one more. Another 23-incher. And I was like, Jesus. I was like, okay. Well, I think by that time the sun was up, and I was like, I guess I'm going to get on out of here. And I stopped and fished a couple things on my way out. And caught 2 18-inchers and was just like, just a 105-inch bag, no big deal. Practice. I was like, it's 10:30 in the morning. I was like, well, what am I going to do with the rest of my day? So I just ran my Biolino battery out, running the river, just running up and down, just, having a good time. So, and I knew then, I was like, my tournament's going to be horrible. I was like, I've done it. That's that. Good times. Hope you enjoyed it.
It turns out me and Jay actually practiced in the same area, the same starting spot that he caught the 20-1 and the 23, the first place he went to. I fished it the Saturday before, caught a 20, a 21, and broke off like a 24, like a 10-pounder. It broke off at the boat, and I was like, what am I going to do? Because I really wasn't planning on fishing that spot in the tournament. I was just kind of poking around. It's like a heavily beat up area usually, and was like, well, now I got to make a decision. And me and Jay basically wound up doing the exact same thing. We ended up fishing right next to each other in the second spot we both practiced at.
And I saw you got a little towing and recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, I made it 3 events in a row with nothing, breaking. Stuff was already, whatever on the boat, but nothing caused harm for 3 events, and I went for the Grand Slam of 4 in a row, and that just
is that a record? Is that
that's the last record for the year and a half or so, for the last year and a half. So Three events in a row has been the record.
For any companies watching, if you're interested in durability testing any product at all,
hey, shout out! Somebody actually took me up on that. Somebody took me up. Yak Attack when they came out with the leaderboard, right? Somebody commented on a post and said, "Has Jordan Marshall got one, and has he broken it yet?" And John Hipsher actually sent me one, and shout out John Hipsher. That thing is awesome. And I have not broken that thing yet, because I've taken it out every time I practiced. I've dropped it in the water, tried to see if it would sink. It floats. I've put some multiple, fish over 20 inches on it. That thing is cool. Shout out Yak Attack for the leaderboard.
Jay, how did this set up? Like, we fished several tournaments around this time of year on Chickamauga. Yeah. Fall, especially early fall that we're in right now, is pretty, finicky as far as the ledge bite's usually gone. Like the grass mats aren't, prime yet for frog fishing. It's just kind of a tough time to pin the fish down. Like, what did you see when you went into practice? And obviously, you stumbled on something great into practice, but was the lake set up kind of what you expected going into it?
Yeah, I think so for the most part. Usually by this time of year, those ledge fish have been pounded all summer. And, I heard a lot of guys were like, oh, I found some fish offshore. Well, that's cool, but they've seen it all. Like, they've seen it all, and they've been seeing it all. I found some fish offshore on the river ledges and stuff, and you can't catch them. I can't. I mean, I don't know. I can't catch them. So anytime I'm at a place like Chick, Gunnersville, places with grass, that's my comfort zone. Those fish live in that grass year round. There's oxygen, there's shade, there's food. Like, unless the ledge bite, it's like late May, early June, and they're just getting out there. Show me the grass. Let's go get in the grass and have fun. And that's I knew right away I was fishing grass. So
I just like the feel of grass fishing better. Feeling the bait come through the grass, and then you get that surprise.
That's right.
Like that. Makes it a lot more exciting. Marshall, what did you find? I mean, you've cashed a lot of checks on Chickamauga in numerous events. Is it kind of? I mean, did it set up the way you expected it to?
It was pretty much on par for what I was wanting to do. I know, like, basically you take the whole bottom half of the main lake and just cut it out, because I'm not fishing offshore. So you basically just leave all the arms of the lake and the upper end of the lake for where the grass is. And the first few places I checked, it was really weird. You'd go in some of the sloughs and pockets and smaller creeks, and some of them would be choked out, like impossible. You had to push pole your way in and push pole your way out. And then one of the places that I checked, like, I was kind of expecting it to be choked out, and then it was just like wide open. There was hardly any grass in there, and it's like, well, this is kind of strange. So I started poking around and throwing bigger swim baits, and that's where I was getting some of those big bites. And I don't think those fish in that area typically would see some of that, because I mean, you're not throwing big treble hook baits or big swim baits or single swim baits in something like that, because the grass is choked out. So it kind of made me be able to have some more freedom to throw different baits and try to look for bigger bites. And that was kind of what I focused on. I really expected the topwater bite to be a lot better. It was non-existent for basically everybody I talked to. I caught one fish on topwater.
I mean, usually like late September, that frog bite's just starting to turn on.
I had one fish on frog the whole. Wow. I fished 4 days in a row. I had one, and I threw it every day. I caught one. It was my biggest fish, though. But
I caught one scrawny 15-inch
September, fish. That frogfish bite is usually starting to come on late September.
I think that big stretch of heat that we got really put a shutdown on the frog bite. Did we lose Lambert?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's okay.
Yeah, we'll roll till he comes back. I mean, I had one bite on a buzzbait, and I did not throw a buzzbait. Well, I threw a buzzbait a lot, but it never really felt like it was kind of happening. Me, you, and Garrett Wade were all in the same area, and Garrett was like, "Man, I wish this buzzbait bite would turn back on." Welcome back, Lambert.
Well, thank y'all for running the show here.
Hey, we'll make it happen.
But it was the topwater bite was non-existent. Normally,
Yeah.
in kind of August, first thing in the morning, September, you can catch a lot of fish on a buzzbait or just topwater in general on chick. And I had one frog bite and one buzzbait bite, and they were both 15-inch little scrawny, rats. But it was, I mean, they both helped just because the lake was so tough. But
Yeah.
they weren't.
That frogfish I caught, the only frogfish I had, the only bite blow up I had at all in 4 days. I happened to be, I was fishing down the edge of a mat, and I actually saw that fish come up, and he either slurped at a bluegill or a shad or something and made a boil in the mat. And of course, you've always got that frog handy. So I put that jackhammer down and picked up the frog, made 2 twitches with it, and he just creamed all over it.
What was that?
You heard it, yeah. Yeah.
What did he do?
Opened his mouth and creamed on it. Yeah.
All right. That's
That's what happened. I'm just telling you and your audience what happened. That's what happened.
That's fantastic, actually.
Yeah. If anybody was around, they probably heard it too.
Yeah. I'd unfortunately just left. Jay magically caught all of his fish after I left. I was disappointed.
You should do that more often.
He's like, you left. He's like, you left too early.
You didn't witness the creaming?
No, didn't witness it. Didn't hear it. Nothing.
Oh my gosh!
I had to tell him about it.
Yeah, he was excited to tell me about it later.
I bet he was. Yeah. It sounds like a memorable experience, like a Diddy party.
Yeah.
This
is quickly went downhill.
Nah, I knew it was. I knew it was before we started this one. So to be fair, we started well under par tonight.
That's why we're here.
We're gonna do great. We're gonna do great.
Yeah.
But the frog bite usually on Chickamauga, October for me, like that. That seems to be the best when all the mats are cheesy. It seems a lot more predictable. But September, and I hate to say it, I caught them on. Remember that state championship, Marshall, that we fished in September on Chickamauga?
Yeah,
I caught them on a frog, but it was a frog with a little paddle tail on the back.
The teckle frog. The teckle frog.
So I didn't buy that one because.
They were impossible to get that year.
They don't sell them at R&R Bait and Tackle, so I had that Booyah version of the little paddle tail. But it was that was actually a very, very productive bait. And I don't know if it's because they're focusing more on bluegill and stuff. Then they're not maybe as keyed in because the grass isn't cheesed out yet. I think you may have to have a little more kind of splash on the edges of the mats, but I think September stays tough on Chickamauga because, the heat, the fishing pressure, there's bass boat tournaments all the time out there.
Yeah.
But adjusting to that, I think, like Jay said, oxygenated water and cold water. Like, I think spring-fed areas, mountain-fed creeks, like those are kind of, the more high percentage success points there on that lake in September.
Yeah, I'll say this. If you remember who won that state championship that year we did that,
seemed like a very familiar name that might have won this tournament.
He ran away with that one. Ran away with that one as well. I mean that state championship we had 4 years ago. It took me, for those who aren't aware, our cast state championship, it's best 5 fish over 2 days. I didn't catch my 5th fish till an hour left in the day, and I was in Dayton swinging for the fences, fishing around for retreads from a bass boat tournament. That's literally how I had to catch my 5th fish in 2 days at that event. So I really was not even planning on fishing this event at the start of the season when I kind of planned out my schedule for the year because I knew how tough chick can be in September, but I had paid to go to a different tournament and then realized I couldn't make it. So I had my entry fee rolled over to another tournament, and this was the only other one I could make. So I basically, fished this by default, and it worked out. But I was not overly looking forward to it. I came home Saturday after the tournament and went to a concert because I had not really planned on fishing on Sunday because I knew there was a pretty good chance that was going to suck. You know what I mean?
it's a tough time of year on the whole Tennessee River chain. Like, you can copy and paste the way Chickamauga fishes and go to Guntersville. It's the same thing. Pickwick, the same thing. Like September's it's a tough time of year on the Tennessee River, but
they're just so scattered.
He's been so consistent in September because it was 90-something inches he had when he won that state championship too, Marshall. I think it was 93 or 94 inches. Like it was.
He came out swinging too. Yeah. It was not a close 93. He posted those pretty well early.
Those were on day one. I think those were like the afternoon of day one. Like it was pretty.
He threw those up and nobody could catch him.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously,
that's same thing here. Marshall and I were talking. We're like, well, we're fishing for second place today. Like, that's the way it is.
I mean, it's something to win a tournament, but when you win it by 20 inches, like that's
Chick is the place to do that for real.
Body of water than everybody else. Like,
if you think back at the June Hobie event we had last year or 2 years ago at Chickamauga, oh my goodness, I can't think of his name. I just lost Patrick.
Walters.
No.
West Tennessee, isn't it?
Yeah. Dude, I cannot.
I was thinking of Chris Walters.
No.
Anyway, dude from West Tennessee.
Justin wormed him, I think, didn't he? Drop shotted.
He caught him. Yeah, and ran away with the tournament one by like 15 or 20 inches there too. I mean, that's the Chick way. Everybody talks about how much it takes to win Chick events, but people don't realize that it's, just like the bass boat tournament the week before, our event, 21 pounds won, solid number for September, but it's 16, 14, 14, the same way kind of our event was, where somebody just absolutely whacked them and they get the publicity, and then the rest of the event is really tough.
But I think, that's a lot to do with kind of the spot or the area that you're fishing at. And I know there's some hot spots. There's some great, spring fed areas and stuff. That's the thing about having tournaments, kind of redundantly on these bodies of water, is people learn where folks are fishing. And then instead of 2 people in an area splitting fish, it's 7 people in an area or more. Like it really kind of cuts down on, I guess what it used to be. And I think that's part of the growth of the deal. But I think that's why it's important for these tournaments to move around to different bodies of water, so you don't have, like podcasts and stuff, like people talking about how they want it, where they want it, and folks hone in on that. Or you hear through the grapevine, what ramp somebody launched at or whatever, and instead of 3 people there's 20 people there the next time. Like it, that pressure continues to increase. And I think as this thing is growing, like it's getting a lot more prevalent, especially on these, lakes that we continue to go to over and over again.
Yeah, I'd say, Jay, you'll agree with this as well. There was a lot of traffic in the area that we were, and that's never been the case in any Chick event I have ever fished in that area. I'd never seen more than maybe 2 or 3 people ever in that kind of general area. And I think in the amount of time between 2 days, there were probably 10 or 11 different people in that area in 2 days.
Yeah.
Do you think that's more because of people figuring out like where people are winning it at and kind of, being hungry for that finish or whatever? Like, I mean, why do you think that's like, I know the area where y'all fish, and neither of you have ever seen me there ever, because I honestly, which kills me a lot of times, I've got too much stubborn pride to go show up and be like, hey guys, what's up?
I think the only time I ever saw you there was with Steve-O in the camera boat for something.
Filming you,
filming me. Yeah. I don't even what was that? Was that a Hobie event?
That was a Bassmaster. That was a Bassmaster. Is that what
that was? I can't remember what it was.
That was a Bassmaster event, because I think you, Joby, and Steve-O were all in the same area, and y'all all.
No, Steve-O was in the boat with me, because we went.
Yeah, Steve-O was in the boat with him.
Yeah. Well, I remember there was like 2 of y'all that dropped like 90 plus inches in the same close area there. It's a lot. I mean, it's podcasts, it's guys making YouTube videos. I know a lot of our river stuff around here we see more and more people constantly on our river, like, not like possessing it or whatever, but like the river stuff that we fish. Just because there's more and more stuff, people are trying to do YouTube stuff like that. And it's just, that's kind of the give and take with our niche of fishing. People want to show off what they're doing and getting into different places in a kayak, and then they do YouTube stuff and try to, teach other people how to do and how to catch fish. But that's kind of the yin yang other side of it, is more and more people are going to those areas and making it more and more difficult to catch fish there.
For sure.
Do you think it's a pro or a con for that happening? Like, is it hurting the tournament fishing side to film yourself, doing well in these tournaments? Like, obviously it's great for you, because people want to see, how you did it, and obviously how successful you were, but you're kind of burning not only the spot, but whatever presentation you figured out. Like, I think, I don't know if you're doing more harm than good, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think it's more harm than good, for sure.
I've wrestled with the YouTube thing. I've bought cameras multiple times. I've started YouTube channels and everything else. And I'll do like one video, or I'll like record something. Then I'm like watching through, like editing or something. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I want somebody to know what's happening. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
Marshall, I want to see your YouTube videos, because I want to see the hilarity that happens.
Jay got to witness
during these tournaments. Like, I want to see that shit happen in real life.
Jay got to witness some hilarity and hear some hilarity, because I lost my fifth fish on Sunday at like 1:00, and I didn't think anybody was around. I didn't see nobody. I come back around the corner, and I lost like a 17-inch fish for my fifth fish, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And I was like, at that point, like my motor was messed up. I was having drive issues. We had already had that ridiculous pop-up squall that was blowing 30-mile-an-hour winds and was white capping a tiny creek. And like, I was soaking wet, and I was like, finally, I got my fifth fish, and then it like comes off, and I was like beside myself. I come around the corner and get in this little open area where Jay is, and he was like, hey, buddy, you okay?
Dude, Lambert, he was 7 miles away when he screamed, and I heard him. Like, I mean, it was ridiculous. I heard it, and I was like, whoa. I was like, that didn't sound good. And then he shows up a little while later. Oh,
was
yeah.
it a full-on bullshit meltdown, Mark?
No, there was no broken rods. There hasn't been bullshit meltdowns in a few years. There was,
Lambert birds flew away like split seconds before I heard it. Like, they heard it and just started flying. I was like, damn, it's like an earthquake or something. He was 7 miles away. That's how far away I heard him. It's crazy.
I'll tell you where birds didn't fly to, and that's Wilsonville, Alabama, because we're down here dove hunting, and we shot like 300 last year, and we've shot about 57 this year.
That's those YouTube videos, man. See what they do.
It looked like y'all shot that one dove 57 times. That might have been part of the issue.
There's a lot of guns. I will say we brought enough guns to make it interesting, but the inherent wildlife population. My buddy bought some water buffalo from Africa, and turns out water buffalo are not happy creatures. They'll
kill you.
To be around them. So we have some extra things to contend with.
Yeah, they'll kill you.
It looked like you were trying to feed that one.
Dude, there was one snorting and pawing at us earlier, and I was like,
if I'm not mistaken, I think water buffalo kill more people than any animal
in the world. Cape buffalo is they're the most deadly out of the
maybe that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Now keep in mind, as you're saying how dangerous they are, I got a video of him and his buddy, Lambert and his buddy today, throwing hay up in the air like LeBron James getting ready for a basketball game.
That was actually a giant dirt clod. He decided it would be a good idea to scare the water buffalo off with a dirt clod. Turns out it didn't scare it. So we're working through that. We're going to hunt in the morning. We'll see how it goes. Maybe my last episode of KBN. So we'll see how this pans out.
How's Jeff doing? Is he recovering well?
He is. I talked to
Good.
him. So for those that don't know, Jeff had emergency appendix surgery, and apparently it was pretty bad when they got in there. So Jeff has some staples and drains and things going on. So he was not able to join us tonight, as you can see by the cell phone podcast we're doing from some kind of cabin in Alabama. But he's doing well. He's healing up. But hopefully we have Jeff on the mend and back with us next Monday.
Pray for Pappy Jeff.
That's right.
He's been through it, man. Jeff has definitely had the uphill battles here the past couple of years. So, Marshall, how did your day one start? How you did pretty well. I sent you a text. I sent you a text on day two, and you're like, "There's nobody catching Russ. Like, there's no chance of this." But you had a pretty good day one bag.
Yeah, I started out at Chester Frost because I was something that I do to prep for a tournament, just kind of general information. This might help some people, it might not. Some people don't realize, but as you turn your photo location on to submit for Tourney X, every picture that you take for a tournament stores in an album on your phone under places. So when I practice for a tournament, and if I know I don't have a lot of time to actually on the water practice other than map study and things like that, but if I'm going somewhere like Chick where I've spent a whole bunch of time, I'll go on my albums, go to places, and basically start searching through to the time of year, and it has a breakdown all through the months. And I'll go to September, and actually me and Lambert fished a tournament together in September probably 6 years ago, and Lambert might have won. He did really well. I remember that. Him and Jody Campbell.
I did win. I locked it up.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. And I showed up late to the area that they were at. It was like a Friday afternoon to Sunday afternoon, all you can fish. And it turns out everybody was catching them at night. And I don't like to fish at night, so I struggled. And I showed up first thing in the morning on Sunday, and they were basically done. They had been fishing all night and caught some fish, and I caught like a 21 or something like that. It was a really quality fish, and the bite was already dead. They had whacked them all night, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go test that out. So I just kind of spur of the moment showed up to Chester Frost. Didn't practice there. Had not been in Chester Frost in like probably 3 years. And I rolled up there expecting there to be a bunch of people there. Kind of was like one of the last people there because I was like, if there's a bunch of people here, I'm just going to go somewhere else. And there were like 3 people at Chester Frost for the Hobie, and I could not believe that. So I just kind of eased my way out there, started throwing a jackhammer, and caught my limit in like 20 minutes, or I caught 4 fish in like 20 minutes. The sun came up, the bite died, and then I drove like an hour north and kind of went to where I had the big fish in practice. And I'm happy with that. I caught my 5th fish up there, and then culled the 20 on a glide bait, which I was excited about because I've been working with a company on a glide bait to work with. So that was a really good feeling to catch, my biggest fish in 2 days on a glide that I've been kind of helping design, and was like, I'm going to go back Sunday. And Jay saw some of the bites that ate that thing while we were there in that area. Because
yes, I did.
And there were some freaks trying to eat that thing, and it was kind of stupid. Yeah. And I mean, they had been in there all day, or not necessarily all day. There were some guys that were, but that area was beat up, and I was like, man, I'm going to go back there on Sunday and swing for the fences and just throw a buzz bait and a big glide all day and just see what happens. And I think I caught 1 fish or maybe 2 fish on a glide on Sunday, and one was the 17 or so, which was my best fish as well. But I mean, honestly, me, Jay, Garrett, anybody that was in there, nobody caught any big fish on the upper end of the lake on Sunday. There were just no big fish caught. I mean,
I think I had an 18-incher. That was it.
Yeah, there were solid limits caught, but I never had like, oh man, I had a big bite or I had a big follow or anything like that. There was no big fish activity.
Yeah.
I think some of that, again, we talked about the pressure and people kind of learning through previous events and stuff. I think the south end of the lake gets overlooked a lot this time of year. Yeah. And Marshall, you were talking about Chester Frost specifically. That tournament, it was a TVKA Classic, I think. And we went out there, me and Jody Campbell were sitting out there, and I lost a couple 22, 23-inch fish, but we caught a ton of 19 to 20-inch fish first thing that morning. Like, I think in September especially, they're looking for that green grass still. They're hanging on the edges looking for bait fish coming out. I thought I had that tournament wrapped up. I get in the truck, go home. Marshall's like texting me, caught a 21, caught a 22. And I'm like, I went home to sleep.
He was loading up as I was going to the spot.
Hours, dude. Like, I was exhausted. And Marshall's sending me this shit. So then I'm mad and paranoid the whole time. He went out there with a glide bait and wrecked them pretty good for the time you were out there on that grass edge. And I was like, if this kid comes down and beats me again, because it was not the first time that it happened. I was like, there is no way that this is going down. But I think that south end of the lake gets overlooked a lot because there's a lot of good mountain fed creeks and stuff that come in, from mid-lake down below the bridge on down there. I don't know if it's a pressure thing or if it's just, those fish that stay there all year, right? They're just moving in and out from the ledges back up the creeks. But I think that part gets overlooked a whole lot, especially in the fall. And one of the worst beatings I've ever had happen in life was a fun fishing trip. Shane Williams goes out, if you remember Shane when he kayak fished, goes out with a fluke in Chester Frost, a donkey rig actually, and just murdered. There was like 7 of us fun fishing and just murders all of us. I was like, there's no way this is happening right now. It was beautiful. Beautiful shit.
R.I.P. Shane's kayak fishing career.
Pro volleyballer, pro beach volleyballer, Shane Williams.
Every time I think about volleyball and Shane, I think about Billy Bob Thornton and Bad Santa when he's watching the girls play volleyball eating the corn dog. That's just, I could see Shane just sitting there with his legs crossed eating a corn dog watching them play volleyball. That's for you, Shane.
I wish I had a Photoshop picture of Shane eating a corn dog right now.
Yeah, there you go. Get Chase on that.
That'll be next Monday's podcast.
There we go. I like it.
Jay, how did your day one go? What, obviously you found something really good pre-fishing.
Yeah.
Did you start on day one?
So day one, I started in one spot, and I had, 7 kayaks go into this creek, with me. So I knew that I would know real quick how things were going to go. It's either going to be on.
Start there.
Yeah, I know. Well, I had to go try it. I knew within the first couple of hours, like, it's either going to be on or it's going to be that kind of day, and you got to make a decision. I went back. I caught a 17 and like a 15 or a 16 or something. Fished for 2 hours. Watched Steve-O catch a 12-incher, and literally nobody else. I didn't see anybody catch a fish, and I was just like, yeah, I've seen this story before. And I was like, adios, Steve-O, it's all yours, bud. And I left. And as soon as I got to my B spot, it was like a 19 3/4, a 20 1/4, I think. Trying to think, I might have caught a 17, a couple 16s, and I was like, yeah, okay. So I ended up with, I think I was just shy of 90 on the first day. And I'll say this, up until Sunday, with the exception of one frogfish that was just kind of a fluke, every fish I caught came on a jackhammer. So Sunday, I could not get them to eat it.
What color jackhammer were you throwing? Chris asked.
Green pumpkin.
Green pumpkin?
Yep.
Solid
green pumpkin. Green pumpkin blade, green pumpkin skirt.
That was the only jackhammer that they would touch too, because I threw it a bunch in that same area. I threw it in practice; they wouldn't touch it, and I just happened to tie it on in the last couple hours after that squall, and was just kind of going through my progression of different baits and realized I hadn't thrown, a solid green pumpkin one. Tied it on and probably made 10 casts, and lost the one that we had talked about earlier.
I love the green pumpkin, man. I feel like a lot of times, because we all know the jackhammer gets thrown a lot. And those fish see a lot of nickel and gold blades flashing around. And I just think when you're trying to catch those fish on lakes like Chickamauga and Guntersville and places that get pounded, you got to mute it down a little bit. Like, no flash. I want no flash. Like, as soon as the paint started getting chipped off the blade, I'd open up a fresh one because I did not want that flash. I've got about 6 jackhammers I need to spray paint, but on the blade.
So you were anti patina.
Absolutely. Yep.
You would not have done well, Lambert. That's probably why I couldn't catch them the first day either on the jackhammer. I like some patina on my baits.
Yeah.
I don't ever change them. I throw them to beat the hell.
If I was seeing some flash or some silver, I cut it off and opened up a fresh one. And I continued to get bites.
Can't have money.
Yeah, well, I won't be hiding it for long. I got a little girl on the way, so Daddy's going to be broke.
Oh, Daddy Jay.
Yeah,
well,
right.
when you take her to a Morgan Wallen concert, call me, and I'll give you some pro tip.
I might be able to get the family discount if I call him. See if he'll let me in on a little friends and family deal.
You're my favorite Wallen by far.
Hey. All right.
Jay, so this with this last really good finish, me and you had talked, kind of post tournament, how Chick was meaning to you is to get into the TOC. Obviously, you should probably be around 20th in points. I'm sure you've looked at kind of the way the points will probably shake out, like most of us have after that, to try to see if they made TOC. You're
I qualified. Russ's win rolled down a spot, so third place got a qualifier for this one. So
nice.
I got the auto bid.
Yeah, you got the auto bid. Tell us how excited you are for Santee and kind of what that meant to you qualifying for the TOC. Obviously the TOC is a big event for kayak bass fishermen anywhere, but
for sure.
Explain kind of what you were telling me.
Well, I've mentioned it before, but Santee Cooper. The first time I went to Santee Cooper, I was probably about 7 years old, give or take. That was one of the first longer distance fishing trips that my dad took me on, was to Santee Cooper, back then. And so it's just always been a special place to me. I've never, ever fished it outside of the spring. But it's funny, we were talking, it's like, it's Santee Cooper. They're going to be in less than 5 foot of water and on trees and grass. Like, the pattern never changes down there. It could be fall. I mean, in summertime they may go a little deeper, get a little tougher, but I mean, the whole damn place is 6 foot deep. They can't go.
Leave the fairy poles at the house and show up.
That's
and do
right.
some big boy fishing.
That's right. It's some big boy stuff.
Baby. Hit him with that Cinco, son. Come on now. Santee is a lake that is just so full of healthy. I mean, similar to Caddo. Like, it is so full of healthy fish. The way they relate to those cypress trees and stuff like that, I think that's going to be a really good tournament to close out the season.
For sure. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, really happy to qualify for it, and looking forward to swinging on them down there, doing what I can do. Because obviously next year I'm probably not going to get to fish as much as y'all are used to seeing me on the road. So.
You'll want to fish more next year.
I know I will.
You'll get tired of getting up in the middle of the night. You're like, Casey, I'll see you, baby. I'm on.
I'll let you know how that works out. Yeah.
How did day 2 go, Marshall, for you? What did you start off on your hour drive further north, I assume, since you were Chester Frost, an hour south. So.
Yeah, I started out up north, and I wasn't sure, how many people were going to go up there to that area or not. And I'm pretty sure I ran 100% throttle the entire way up there to this area.
I know you did.
Yeah, just I was paranoid. I didn't know how many people were going to be there. I ran that thing wide open and was running ridiculously too fast. Sometimes I wonder how I break so much stuff, and then sometimes I think back of what I did Sunday morning and was like, man, it's a miracle that motor didn't break first thing in the morning, because I was running 5 miles an hour through a slough, and that's just I knew the area. I mean, I've been in there a bunch. Darkness. Anybody that's ever fished a Bassmaster and tried to go into anywhere on Chick knows. You gotta. It's dark when you're getting in there, and I don't prepare well all the time, so I didn't have a headlight or anything, so I was just running with nav lights, up, kind of pointing down. So,
and see, here's the difference, Lambert. I went to the dollar store the night before to buy AAA batteries so that I would have my headlamp fully juiced, so that when I go in there,
you didn't need the headlamp 20 minutes after me by the time you got up there, though.
That's true. Marshall was.
You should have gave me that headlamp. I about caught one across the neck when I turned a corner going back in there that morning.
Ridiculous.
I got clothes on.
But Marshall, you're the only person that wonders how you break stuff. Everyone else knows how you break stuff.
We all know immediately. Yeah. Like, I had to text AJ. AJ sent me the text and was like, "Hey, congratulations! Come back to headquarters for awards." And I was like, "Sweet." And then I said, "I may be a little late. I've got to tow Marshall back to the ramp." And AJ was just like, I don't even remember what he said, but he was just like, "Can't wait to hear that one." I was like, "Yeah."
He knew. AJ knows. If anybody knows how I roll, it's AJ.
Yeah.
I want a print off of Marshall, you and AJ's text threads over the last 4
years. No, you don't. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Oh man. So Jay, for you, how did day two? Obviously, Marshall beat you to.
Oh yeah, well I knew he
Jay was handicapped though. He had the smaller motor.
I did. I was running a little slower.
Listen, we can't.
But hey, I got there.
He got there and put up better numbers than the other two of us that went up there with 300s though. So Jay was the last one in and dominated. So.
Well, Sunday I could not get them to touch that jackhammer. I mean, 3 days straight, that's all I caught them on, and then Sunday, nothing.
What changed? Was the cloud cover different, or do you think it was just them seeing it the day before?
It could have been them seeing it, getting conditioned to it. Maybe the pressure just finally took its toll. I don't know, but I drug a wacky rig Cinco like. I'm trying to think.
Carry on, baby. Let's go.
I might have caught one fish on a jackhammer on Sunday, and the rest were on a wacky rig Cinco. And
I was running circles around Jay, about covering 4 times the amount of water, doing donuts around Jay.
Dude, I was like a statue, just holding my spinning rod. I was just sitting there watching my line, just drifting around. And that's all I could do.
That's my favorite way to fish. Is just let it drift.
I was fishing so slow, it was ridiculous. Like, one cast was taking me
Marshall,
like
2 minutes. Did you throw a spinning rod at all on day 2, Marshall?
No way.
I did. I caught one fish on a Cinco. My 5 fish that were in that 5 fish limit were on 5 different baits, and I bet I threw 50 because I literally would do a circle, change, do a circle, change, do a circle, change. I mean, I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Like, it was bad. And when I finally decided to leave, I was like, man, this is not happening. I got 2 fish. It's like 10:30. I'm leaving. And I was leaving. I was going to the truck. I was going somewhere else. And I made it like, I don't know, half a mile to a mile away from Jay, and my motor broke. And I was like, well, I'm not going however many miles it is back to the truck. So I put the drive in and just slowly eased my way back in there. And I was like, Jay, whenever you get done, or if you decide to leave, will you tow me back? And he was like, yeah, I got you. And I was like, all right, I'm going to stay then. Cause if not, if he'd have said no, I was leaving. I was going home. I was mad. And
I should have said no.
You should have said no. There's a handful of people that didn't appreciate that no. They would have got paid, bumped up a little spot.
Yeah. I couldn't leave him hanging. Man needs a tow, What are you going to do?
Hey, you ain't got to tell me nothing. I spent a lot more time on the front end of the towing than I have on the back end.
Hey, we rolled down the river pretty good. We were doing like 5.2 miles an hour.
Yeah, we were cruising. Yeah,
we were doing pretty good. They had to be running a little bit on Sunday.
Yeah.
I know a couple
guys. Not a lot.
They did decent fishing, further up toward the Watts Bar area. I don't know. I don't think it held up for 2 days, kind of like it did on day one. But again, I think it's that time of year. Once it starts getting colder, that tail race bite turns on a little more. But September is just such a tough time to fish on the Tennessee River. It is rough.
For sure.
What's next on your schedule, Marshall?
2 weeks. I can't remember. I know the next big event is me, and I'm taking Michaela, my girlfriend, up to Susky to fish. So I just put her some rod floats on that came in today.
Pool noodles.
Me, Michaela, Thomason, and our buddy Brad Crone from Newport, who's a fantastic river fisherman that used to fish some tournaments with us. We're going up there, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. We're going to fish the native event. I think I've got a local classic, between now and then. But nothing too crazy. I was actually looking through Tourney X, and I've only fished 29 tournaments this year. Probably will not hit. Probably, be in the low 30s this year. So kind of an off year for me, So we just kind of cruise through this year.
What do you got, Jay Bird?
I have our Bluegrass Kayak Anglers Classic Championship, whatever you want to call it. It's a 2-day event here in the backyard at the old Cedar Creek Lake, which is most of y'all that know it.
I think you've probably been out there a time or two.
Yeah, I've been out there a couple times. So I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm sitting in second place in Angler of the Year standings in our club. But I'm going to have to pull something out of the hat because the kid that is leading is one of those college live scope guys. And he's a young, I feel like Randy Blockett up here talking about he's spotlighting him with that thing, but he's pretty good with it. So he's leading, and it's going to take something pretty special to beat him. But it's Cedar Creek. It's my time of year.
On the Cedar Creek stuff, it sets up pretty well for a scoper.
It sure does. Yeah.
Are you gonna try to get out there and outscope him? Show that whippersnapper what's up?
I mean, we'll see. I've got the scope. I'm not very good with it, but I prefer just hammering down on what I know works. But
just fishing.
Actually. That's to be fair, I brought live scope to Chick with me. Never once put it on. I've got a little portable setup, so it's not always in the boat. But
it was quite a contrast looking at mine and Jay's boat when we were in that area, because Jay still had both of his graphs on, and my boat is just covered in grass because I'm motoring through grass when the motor still works, and I'm just spraying stuff everywhere. Jay's kind of real proper. He's got his graphs set up there, and everything's proper and in place, and I look like I just drug my kayak through a swamp to get there.
I've never heard a fisherman make more freaking noise and more ruckus. That's the only word to describe it. It was a ruckus. It sounded like one of those guys
turning and burning, baby, turning and burning.
He was up in 2 inches of water with that Newport running 1,000 miles an hour, just spraying stuff everywhere. He sounded like one of those duck boat guys. I'm like, what are you doing? No wonder we can't catch any fish. You're up here raising hell.
I was trying to fish that undominated water.
Yeah.
There's
there was no water
around off the bank.
It was wet mud, is what it was. There was no
Jay,
water.
I caught one fish in 6 inches of water on a frog. My kayak was in the grass and I was casting towards the bank My kayak was in 2 foot of water, and I was casting 6 inches.
His kayak was embedded in mud like the Edmund Fitzgerald, man. It was embedded.
But you've heard this from G-Man at that one classic or whatever where he fished a Hartwell in that viral video. I caught one fish on a dock, like he says. I caught one fish in 6 inches of water, and I was going to fish every 6-inch depth area on Chick, or at least in that creek. And I was motoring through wide open through every bit of it. When that motor bogged down, I'd yank it out of the water, clean it off, and stick it back down there and just wide open.
And he wonders why there was the only thing that showed up on his remote was 6% on his motor. Whatever, we couldn't get it to come on or nothing. And it's like,
it got to 6%. He's like, I've never had this percentage.
Yeah,
I've never been put on this percentage before. I like this. We're gonna keep here.
I'm surprised that thing wasn't just smoking and like melting down from an overheat or something. I don't know. But he makes more damn noise, and then 2 seconds later he's go 21 incher, and it's like, who does that?
I was hollering at Jay the whole time I was naming that dude.
Ears are. I've looked at a lot of fish. Yeah. I haven't seen big ears on many of them, so I don't. Marshall may be onto something.
He must be catching those deaf ones, man, because
fish ain't got no ears and they ain't got no eyelids. That's why you fish in the shade 24/7.
Heard that. Well, he sure had him stirred up in there.
Years ago, we were talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I drug through this cornfield, about got killed by a wild boar."
There was water there. It was legal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Back in the days, back in the good old days.
Back when you could dig ditches and jump trees and rappel off mountains and do whatever.
You can still jump trees. You just got to be able to jump them on the way back out.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Build you a wheelie ramp or something.
River chain, that's something you better watch too. You better see how much water's coming out the bottom, because if you can't get back out of there, you're done. You're done. Well, gentlemen, congratulations on a fantastic tournament. I have a large Cajun man from Louisiana named Big O that's cooking us some shrimp and steaks right now on the grill. So I'm going to go have some dinner. We will do 2 giveaways next week, Revo and Seagar, I think. So we will get back to you next Monday. Thank you both for joining me tonight. And I'm going to get back out of here. Maybe go shoot a bird in the morning.
Good luck.
Good luck. Say hi to the boys for me.
Oh, yeah.